But I wanted to highlight two sequences here on the show because they are really great examples. The first one of how Kevin Durant creates space for so many other people. So on this first screenshot that we have here, Devin Booker starts in the corner with his man Kelly Oubre hugging him close, and then Chris Paul and DA are stacked near him on the right side of the floor. DA's got the ball just inside the three-point line with his defender Mark Williams kind of sagging off. And then on the opposite side of the floor, Okogie is in the corner. His man JT Thor has 2 feet in the paint to help on any potential drives. And then KD's over there on that left wing beyond the three-point line with his man Gordon Hayward staying close. Now, Booker curls around the screen from Paul, which automatically puts Oubre behind the play. Terry Rozier, who's CP3's man, is staying closer to the basket to allow Oubre to kind of fight through that screen and not give up any slips. So with Oubre already behind the play, Devin Booker catches a shovel pass handoff from DA and curls around him towards the basket. And Mark Williams is sagging off to protect against the drive there. And then with Booker coming in hot off that handoff, JT Thor kind of takes a step further into the paint from his man in the corner. And then Hayward kind of sags off a little bit of KD towards the nail, it's the center point of the free throw line there. So when you hear him say a defender steps towards the nail, it's right there in the middle of that 3-point line. Now, Booker...
free throw line.
Yes, the free throw line. Sorry, the free throw line. Now, Booker penetrates further into the lane, and he's being trailed by Oubre because of those staggered screens, and that forces Mark Williams to kind of step up slightly, but he can't fully commit yet because DA is immediately starting his roll towards the basket. So he's kind of in no man's land in having to guard 2 players in space there. Hayward also needs to make a decision. Does he step further in to help cut off Book's drive and leave Durant, who's shooting 40% from that spot on the floor as a 3-point shooter on the wing, or does he let his teammates kind of handle it? Booker drives deeper, and that forces Mark Williams to make his decision to fully commit to stopping the ball since he's entered the paint and Oubre is still behind the play. Hayward sticks with KD because he's not going to let him get an easy kick out, and that gives Booker the requisite room to force the issue. Terry Rozier, who's kind of sagged down to tag the rolling DA, is behind Ayton, so he's not really helping at all there. And Thor has 1 foot in the paint still to help off of Okogie. Booker rises up for a jumper to get Mark Williams to fully commit, and he knows his shot's about to be contested from the front and from the back with Oubre flying in. He's desperate for that block against his old teammate Book. And Book switches off to his offhand. He weaves a pass around Williams' outstretched arm. And then Rozier is retreating back out to CP3 instead of helping on the pass because CP3 has curled up to the 3-point line to keep his attention. And he came into the night shooting a career-high 54% on catch-and-shoot threes this season. So you have to stay with a guy like that. That leaves Ayton wide open under the basket. The pass is slightly low, and Ayton doesn't catch it cleanly. And that gives Thor, who's helping off of Okogie, an opportunity to help under the rim. But once Ayton gets a handle on it, he swings the ball low through Thor's kind of contest there. And he has a recovering Mark Williams on his back, but fortunately he's got prime position right near the rim. So he turns right into a right-hand hook shot over Williams for an easy bucket. And that whole play just kind of stems from Hayward not being able to help off of KD and opening up that driving lane, the type of driving lane that Booker doesn't often get when he's curling around screens like that. So that's just one example of how things are going to open up for everybody else just having KD out on the floor.
Well, there's a couple other things there. Book could do as usual where he stops and lets the guy run into him from behind on that mid-range there as well. And that, or Okogie's there too. So like there's so many things that open up in here with the way this defense collapses. This is a small microcosm of what's going on in this offense, but it's exciting to think about what opens up just simply by even if KD is a decoy on a play like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And then I wanted to take a look at this second sequence. This was the really fun one from the beginning of the game. And this starts with Gordon Hayward having the ball on the right side of the floor, well beyond the 3-point line. He's being defended by Durant. Mark Williams is setting a screen to Hayward's right, and DA is initially in drop coverage just outside of the paint. He's sagging off the play pretty significantly to start this one. But once Williams makes contact on the screen, KD is fighting underneath it, but DA takes a big step up to make sure that Hayward can't just step up into an easy, uncontested three as he's driving around the pick. So Durant gets through the screen, fighting through it, and he kind of helps corral Hayward towards the baseline, towards Ayton. DA is still not all the way up on the ball yet, but because of his length, because of Durant's length preventing a path toward the middle of the floor, Hayward can't pull up, and he also has to keep driving. So Hayward commits fully to that drive. Ayton engages him, and he's using his lateral quickness to stick with him and cut off any potential drive to the rim. DA is really good about being on the perimeter, and this is something we might see more because of Kevin Durant's secondary rim protection. So with Ayton on top of shutting off Hayward's drive, Durant drops a bit to prevent Mark Williams' roll to the basket as he moves just inside the three-point line there. Hayward gets completely cut off. He takes a step backwards towards the sideline to try and open up a passing lane since Ayton's totally all over that. Durant recognizes Williams on the roll and sees where he's about to cut behind him in order to give Hayward an outlet. Then Hayward locates Williams, who makes himself available, getting past KD. On the opposite side, Devin Booker, whose man is in the corner, has slid over towards the basket to help protect, but he's also distracted by a back screen that's being set on him, so he can't fully commit to shading over and protecting the rim. That's good, though, because KD has a 7-foot frame and a 7'5" wingspan. That makes him a better rim protector anyway. Williams catches the bounce pass from Hayward with KD on his hip, and it looks like he's got a decent look at a layup off the backboard from the low block. But wrong. Kevin Durant rises up, stuffs him at the peak. JT Thor recovers the ball but misses the follow-up floater. Chris Paul boxes out. They get the rebound. He gets it to Booker, and the Suns are in semi-transition now. So on this is an example of how DA helps repay that favor there. He uses his gravity. Booker's on the right side of the floor, and Ayton runs up the court to take advantage of a mismatch with Gordon Hayward on him in transition. Paul's trailing in the middle of the court. Durant's trotting up the court on the left side of the floor, and Mark Williams is running back, desperate to try and get to his man to relieve that pressure on Hayward to defend a 7-footer who's already starting to post him up with his seal near the free throw line, and then Okogie and his man Rozier in the corner to provide spacing. So Booker takes all this in a second or so and recognizes where the opening is on offense. So with Ayton posting Hayward fully into the paint now and Williams focused on recovering back to his man, Booker sees KD on the weak side and slings an overhead pass to him. Williams, who finally just got back to DA, and then JT Thor, who picked up Chris Paul in transition near the top of the key, see KD on the far side too late. He's wide open from that spot that we just talked about where he's drilling 40% of his threes. KD rises up for an uncontested three, and you'll notice Booker raising his hand with 3 on it up to the sky. He already knows it's cash. And for those who need the proof, the ball goes straight through the net, and Kevin Durant has his first block as a Sun and his first three-pointer as a Sun. And this is the example of the two-way impact that he can have, and how when DA does the little things and hustles in transition and runs the floor, he makes life easier for everybody else in turn.